There's a moment in every athlete's career where the past comes knocking, and how they answer that knock tells you everything about who they've become. And right now, on the hard courts of the Lindner Family Tennis Center in Mason, Ohio, that moment belongs to Alex Eala, because in a few hours she will walk out for her second-round match at the Cincinnati Open against a name that should feel very familiar to her, Elena Ruse. And if you don't know why that name matters, stick around, because this is a rematch 2 years in the making, and one of the biggest voices in the history of the sport just waiting on it. Boris Becker, a man who won 6 Grand Slam titles and has forgotten more about tennis than most of us will ever learn, has come out and said something that caught a lot of people off guard. He believes Ela is going to be too much for Ruse to handle. And when a legend like Becker puts his name behind a prediction like that, you pay attention, so the question becomes obvious. What does he see? What has convinced him that the outcome of this match is basically already written? And to understand that, we have to rewind the clock, because this isn't just another second-round matchup at a WTA 1000 event. This is a grudge match. This is unfinished business. And this is a story about a young woman who turned a heartbreaking loss into the fuel that built a career. So let's go back 2 years, to the US Open qualifying rounds, where teenage Alex Eala, ranked a modest 153 in the world, was fighting through the gauntlet just to earn a spot in the main draw of a Grand Slam. Something she had never done before. She made it all the way to the third and final qualifying round, one match away from history, and standing on the other side of the net was Elena Ruse, ranked 122 at the time, a solid, experienced player who knew how to grind out a win, and grind she did. Ruse took the match in 3 sets, 6-3, 1-6 for 6, and just like that, Ela's dream of a maiden Grand Slam main draw appearance was gone, snatched away in a match that could have gone either way. And if you've ever watched young athletes deal with heartbreak like that, you know it can go one of two directions. It can crush them, or it can light a fire under them that never really goes out. For Alex Eala, it was the second one. That loss didn't become a scar, it became a blueprint, a reminder of exactly what she needed to fix. And over the next 2 years, she rebuilt her game piece by piece. And the results have been nothing short of jaw-dropping. From a ranking of 153, she has climbed all the way up to number 20 in the world, a rise that most players spend their entire careers chasing and never catch. And it wasn't luck. Along the way, she started knocking off Grand Slam champions, Olympic medalists, and top 10 opponents like it was routine. She pushed into the 4th round at Wimbledon. She made a run to the semifinals in Miami, and then came the moment that changed everything. Her first ever WTA Tour singles title, captured at the Washington Open, and that title didn't just add a trophy to her shelf. It turned her into a symbol, a source of pride for an entire nation that had been waiting for a tennis star to call their own. The Philippines found their icon in Alex Eala, and the tennis world found a player who refuses to stay beaten. Because here's the thing about her game now, she has developed an almost eerie habit of getting revenge. When someone beats her, she doesn't just move on, she circles back and settles the score. Over her last 7 matches against players who had previously defeated her, she has come out on top every single time. She's done it against Iga Swiatek, against Jelena Ostapenko, against Jessica Pegula, against Leylah Fernandez, a list of names that reads like a who's who of the tour. And now Elena Ruse finds herself next in line. Except this time, the entire dynamic of the matchup has flipped on its head. Back in that US Open qualifier, Ela was the underdog, the unseeded hopeful trying to punch above her ranking. Now she walks into Cincinnati as the 17th seed, the highest seeding she has ever carried into a WTA 1000 tournament. She was even granted a first-round bye, a small gift that gave her extra days to rest her legs and sharpen her game plan before this rematch. Meanwhile, Ruse, now ranked 77, had to fight through an opening round battle against Magda Linette just to earn the right to face her. So picture it. 2 years ago, Ela was the one scrapping for a chance. Now she's the one being feared. She's the one opponents have to prepare for, and that shift in power is exactly why Boris Becker's prediction carries so much weight, because Becker isn't just throwing out a compliment for the cameras, he's been tracking her rise for a while now. He was the one who publicly congratulated her after that Washington Open triumph, sending a message that read, quite simply, "She made history today. Congratulations, Alex." And now he's gone further. publicly stating that he expects her to be the more dangerous player when she steps onto the court against Ruse. And his reasoning isn't based on hope, it's based on what he's actually watched her do this season. She beat Iga Swiatek at Wimbledon, one of the most dominant players of this generation. She beat Jessica Pegula in the final in Washington, and she took down Elena Rybakina in Berlin. 3 completely different styles of opponents, 3 completely different challenges, and she solved all of them. Her record against top 10 opposition this year sits at an eye-catching 9 wins against 4 losses. And numbers like that don't happen by accident. They happen because a player has figured something out about their own game that opponents haven't figured out how to stop. So what exactly has she figured out? What makes her such a nightmare matchup? And this is where things get really interesting, because if you ask former American #1 Andy Roddick, he'll tell you it isn't about overwhelming power. Ela doesn't have the biggest serve on tour. She isn't blasting forehands past people at record speed. What she does have is an almost surgical ability to redirect the ball, to take the pace her opponent gives her and send it back in a direction they weren't expecting, over and over again. And according to Roddick, that's what makes her so frustrating to play against. Opponents never get a rhythm. They never see the same shot come back at the same speed in the same spot twice. And for a player who relies on rhythm and predictability, like a lot of baseline grinders do, that unpredictability becomes a slow form of torture. Roddick put it plainly, saying that players who think they have more raw power than her often try to step up and take control, only to discover that she's too good at redirecting their own pace right back at them. And if you think about what kind of player Elena Ruse is, a composed, steady baseliner who likes to dictate rallies from the back of the court, you start to see exactly why this stylistic matchup favors Ela. Ruse wants structure. She wants a predictable rhythm she can lean on, and Ela's entire game is built to deny her exactly that. So when Becker looks at this matchup, he isn't just looking at a ranking difference or a head-to-head record. He's looking at a style clash that heavily favors the informed player. And make no mistake, Alex Eala is about as informed as any player on the entire WTA Tour right now. This season alone, she has played 56 matches, more than anyone else inside the world's top 20, a workload that would break a lot of players both physically and mentally. And out of those 56 matches, she has won 37. A win rate that places her firmly among the tour's most consistent competitors. Her breakthrough moment, the Washington Open title, wasn't a fluke either. She had to get through 3 seeded players to lift that trophy, including a win over the world's 3rd-ranked player, Jessica Pegula, in the final itself. That title alone was enough to catapult her into the top 20 for the first time in her career. But what really stands out isn't just the peak, it's the consistency. Underneath it, a 4th-round finish at Wimbledon, a semi-final run in Berlin, a quarter-final appearance in Miami. These aren't isolated flashes of brilliance. This is a player performing at a high level across different surfaces, different tournaments, different pressure situations, and her hard court form specifically has been something else entirely. 7 wins against just a single loss during her North American swing, a stretch that includes the Washington title and a 4th round appearance up in Canada, and Becker has taken notice of all of it. He has specifically praised her ability to maintain such a high level of tennis despite an absolutely grueling schedule. Because let's be honest, professional tennis doesn't care how tired your legs are. The tour keeps moving whether you're ready or not. And at just 21 years old, sustaining this kind of form while carrying the expectations of an entire country on her shoulders speaks to something deeper than raw talent. It speaks to mental toughness. But it hasn't all been easy, and it's worth being honest about that too, because after a tough exit in Toronto, Ela admitted publicly that she was about as exhausted as a player can possibly be at this stage of a season. That kind of honesty matters. It shows the human side of what looks from the outside like an unstoppable rise, and the people around her know it too. The executive director of the Filipino Tennis Federation, Tonit Mendoza, spoke openly about the concern, explaining that in Canada, it was clear Ela was running on fumes after the physical toll of playing every single round in Washington. He expressed hope that she would get the rest she needed heading into Cincinnati and eventually the US Open, and that first round bye in Cincinnati suddenly makes a lot more sense in that context. It wasn't just a schedule inconvenience, it was a lifeline, extra days to recover, to reset, to walk onto the court against Ruse with fresher legs than she had in Toronto. And here's the thing, even when she has been running on empty, she has still found ways to win, which tells you something about her competitive character that goes beyond just physical conditioning. Now let's give proper credit to the player on the other side of the net, because Elena Ruse is not some easy stepping stone. She is not a player you should assume Ela will simply roll over. This is a 28-year-old Romanian competitor who has spent years grinding on the WTA Tour. She has reached a career high ranking of 55 in the world, and she has proven her quality even beyond singles, having made it to the semifinals of a Grand Slam in doubles competition on 2 separate occasions. That's a resume built on genuine skill and experience, not just longevity, and she arrived in Cincinnati playing some of her best tennis, opening her campaign with a commanding straight sets win over Magdalena 6-love, 6-3, a scoreline that doesn't leave much room for doubt about her current form. She is confident, she is sharp, and she already has one victory over Ela on her record, a psychological edge that shouldn't be dismissed outright. Players remember beating someone, especially someone who has since become a rising star. There's a certain belief that comes from knowing you've solved a particular opponent before, but here's the complicating factor for Ruse. That head-to-head advantage is built entirely on a single match played 2 years ago against a version of Alex Eala that simply doesn't exist anymore. The player Ruse beat in that US Open qualifier was 153 in the world, unseeded, and proven at the biggest levels. The player she's about to face now is a top 20 competitor with a WTA title, wins over multiple Grand Slam champions, and a game that has been rebuilt and refined specifically to eliminate the kind of weaknesses that could have been exploited 2 years ago. Her serve has improved, her movement around the court has improved, and most importantly, her self-belief has completely transformed. This isn't a young player hoping to compete with the best anymore. This is a young player who expects to beat the best, and that shift in mentality alone can be the difference in a match this close. So where does that leave us heading into this second round showdown? On one side you have experience, momentum from a dominant opening win, and a previous victory to lean on for confidence, and on the other side you have red-hot form, a 9-4 record against top 10 players this season. A stylistic matchup that plays directly into her strengths, and the added motivation of finally settling the score from a defeat that once denied her a milestone she had worked so hard for. Becker's prediction doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from watching a pattern repeat itself over and over throughout the season. Ela gets beaten. Ela studies the loss. Ela comes back stronger and flips the result, and now Ruse is staring down the barrel of becoming the 8th name on that revenge list. If you zoom out even further and look at the bigger picture of what Alex Eala has accomplished, this Cincinnati run starts to feel less like a surprising Cinderella story and more like the natural next step in a career that has been building toward exactly this moment for years. This is a player who first picked up a tennis racket at 4 years old, who in 2022 became the first Filipino player in history to win a junior Grand Slam title, laying the foundation for everything that would come after. In March of 2025, she produced one of the most stunning runs of her young career, reaching the semi-finals in Miami by defeating 3 separate Grand Slam champions along the way, including Iga Swiatek, a result that put the entire tennis world on notice. Then in 2026, she made history again, becoming the very first Filipina to win a Grand Slam singles main draw match at the US Open, closing the loop on that painful qualifying defeat from years earlier in the most poetic way possible. And then came Washington, her first WTA Tour singles title, the moment that pushed her into tennis elite conversation. And now, Cincinnati. Another chapter, another opportunity to prove that all of this is not a temporary hot streak, but the arrival of a genuine star. She has already secured a career-high seeding of 17 at this event. She has sparked so much excitement among fans that tournament organizers have reportedly seen a surge in ticket demand tied directly to her matches, and she has earned praise from an incredible list of legends beyond just Becker. Andy Roddick has spoken about her game in detail. Maria Sharapova has taken notice. Even Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal, 2 of the most respected voices to ever pick up a racket, have acknowledged what she's building. When names like that start paying attention to a 21-year-old from the Philippines, you know something special is happening. And heading into this match against Ruse, by all accounts, Ela's mindset is exactly where it needs to be. She took a deliberate break to recover physically and mentally after the exhaustion that followed her Washington triumph and her subsequent exit in Toronto. She has stated plainly that she feels healthy, that she feels ready, and that she has taken the lessons learned from that tough stretch in Canada and applied them directly to her preparation for this tournament. That's not the language of someone hoping to survive. A tough draw. That's the language of someone who believes she belongs at the top and intends to prove it match by match. So when the players walk out onto that court in Mason, Ohio, what you're really watching isn't just a second-round match at a WTA 1000 event. You're watching the continuation of a redemption story that started with heartbreak in New York 2 years ago. A story about a young athlete who refused to let one loss define her, who turned that defeat into motivation, and who has spent every match since then building toward moments exactly like this one. Will Boris Becker's prediction hold up? Will Alex Eala add Elena Ruse's name to her growing list of conquered rivals? Or will Ruse prove that experience and a favorable head-to-head record are enough to slow down one of the fastest rising stars in the sport? Either way, one thing is certain: Alex Eala is no longer the underdog fighting to be noticed. She is the player everyone else has to watch out for, and her story is still being written. So if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what happens next in what might be the most exciting rise in women's tennis right now.